They said the emperor was coming, not to fight, not to bleed, just to be seen, and every man in the camp understood what that meant. If Claudius crossed the sea, then Rome had already decided. Britain would fall, no matter the cost. We waited by the river. The Thames moved slowly here, brown and wide, swallowing sound. Fog rolled off the water in thick curtains, muting the world beyond a few dozen paces. Britain never revealed itself all at once. It crept forward, patient, watching. Camp was different now. No shouting, no dice games, no singing. Armor was cleaned again and again until hands cracked. Cloaks were brushed free of mud that would return by morning anyway. Centurions inspected ranks with a severity usually reserved for battle, but this was not preparation for war. It was preparation for history. Claudius was coming. Back in Rome, they laughed at him. A stammering scholar. A limping relic spared assassination only because no one thought him worth killing. The army knew those stories, but emperors are dangerous precisely because belief follows them, and belief was crossing the sea. He arrived without ceremony. No thunder, no trumpet fanfare, just ships appearing through mist, their hulls dark against the gray water. The men stood straighter without being told. Even veterans who had marched in Germania or Syria felt it, that subtle shift when power enters the room. Claudius stepped onto British soil and did not fall. That alone mattered. He wore no battlefield armor, only a general's cloak and the weight of legitimacy. Behind him came reinforcements, fresh troops, supplies, engineers, and elephants. They came last. Massive shapes emerging from the fog, chains clinking, breath steaming in the cold air. Their feet sank into the earth with each step, leaving impressions deeper than any man could. The Britons watching from the tree line did not flee. They simply stared. Rome understood spectacle. Steel wins battles. Fear wins provinces. The army moved again, not in a rush, not in chaos. This was not a raid like Caesar's, this was occupation. Each night, a camp was built, ditches cut, walls raised, roads marked out straight through land that had never known straight lines. Forests fell, shrines were bypassed or dismantled. Britain resisted quietly. Villages emptied before we arrived. Food stores burned. Scouts vanished. Every hill felt watched. Every tree seemed to lean closer. Claudius rode with the column only briefly. He did not need to see every mile, just enough to say he had been there. When we reached Londonium, resistance collapsed. This was the heart of southeastern Britain, capital of the Cato Vellani, seat of kings who had dominated their neighbors for generations. Roman artillery rolled forward. Lines formed. Diplomats followed close behind the legions. Some kings chose submission. Others were forced. Claudius accepted their surrender publicly. Names were recorded, hostages taken, oaths sworn to Rome and her emperor. It took 16 days. That was all Claudius required. When the emperor left, Britain did not cheer. It exhaled. He returned to Rome to claim a triumph, to walk beneath arches, to have his name carved into stone. Coins would be struck bearing the word Britannia as if it had always been Roman. But we stayed. And that is when the real war began. Rome did not conquer with one battle. It conquered with routines. Taxes followed roads. Laws followed taxes. Latin followed law. Markets followed roads again. Forts rose at regular intervals, timber first, then stone. Some Britons adapted. They traded with us, served as auxiliaries, learned Roman customs. Their children wore tunics instead of cloaks. Their leaders drank wine instead of mead. Others withdrew, into hills, into forests, into memory. At night, fires burned on distant ridges. Signals passed unseen. Songs were sung in languages we did not understand, but we understood their tone. They were not songs of defeat. I wrote at night when the camp quieted, about the rain that never fully stopped, about boots that never dried, about how Britain smelled peat, smoke, wet iron. I wrote about the people. They watched us differently than Gauls had. Not with hatred, not even fear, with patience, as if they believed time itself would side with them. We told ourselves this would be another province, another line on a map. That in time, Britain would forget who it had been before Rome arrived. But I saw children staring at our standards with something older than anger. I wondered what they would remember. Rome believed the conquest was complete. But conquest is not possession. Beneath the roads and laws, resentment hardened, debts accumulated, land passed from native hands to Roman veterans. Officials grew careless, confident, cruel, and somewhere among the Iceni, a queen watched Rome mistake silence for surrender. Her name was Boudica, and she was learning. Claudius had crossed the sea and returned a conqueror. Rome had planted its banner in British soil, but the island had not bowed. It was waiting. They did not defeat us in battle. They defeated us by reminding us that Rome could bleed. I smelled it before I saw it. Burned wood, melted pitch, something worse beneath it, the copper-sweet stink of death. Londonium lay open before us, its streets choked with rubble, its proud lines broken and blackened. This had been a Roman city, a place for veterans, men who had survived Germania, Pannonia, Syria, men who believed Britannia was already won. They died believing that. Their bodies lay where they fell. No burial, no rites. Some were nailed to doors, others stripped of armor and left for animals. The temple of Claudius, the symbol of Rome's permanence, stood cracked open like a skull. This was not a raid. This was judgment. We learned the cause afterward, from whispers and interrogations. When Prasutagus, king of the Iceni, died, he trusted Roman law to protect his family. He named Rome co-heir to his kingdom, thinking compromise would spare his people. Rome took everything. Officials seized land, beat nobles, enslaved kin. Then they made an example of his widow. They flogged Boudica in public. They called it discipline. That was the moment Britain decided Rome was no longer tolerable. Boudica, I saw her once, from a distance. She stood in her chariot, hair unbound, copper red and wild, her cloak snapping in the wind. She was taller than most men, her voice cutting through the air like iron drawn from a sheath. She did not beg the tribes to fight. She reminded them what had already been taken: land, honor, children. She spoke of Rome's lies, of roads that led only to taxes, of law that protected only Romans, of peace that arrived with chains. And the tribes answered, not as subjects, as a storm. Londonium fell first because it had no walls. Rome had believed fear was enough. Then came Londonium. Governor Suetonius Paulinus reached it before the rebels and knew instantly he could not hold it. We did not have the numbers. We did not have time. He abandoned the city. I remember civilians begging as we marched out, hands grabbing armor, voices breaking, children crying. Roman citizens, allies, traitors who had believed the eagle would protect them. We left them. Then we burned it ourselves, denied to the enemy. It did not matter. Boudica's army arrived anyway. Londonium burned so fiercely that even now, years later, they find a red ash layer in the earth. Then Verulamium followed. 3 cities erased. The dead were everywhere, men, women, children, anyone who had adopted Roman ways. The rebels took no prisoners. This was not war as Rome practiced it. This was annihilation. Suetonius chose the ground. A narrow defile. Forest behind us. Open field ahead. No flanks for the enemy to surround us. No retreat for ourselves. We numbered perhaps 10,000. They numbered many times that. They brought their families in wagons to watch us die. I remember tightening my grip on my shield until my hand went numb. Remember thinking, not will I die, but how quickly. Boudica rode before her army and spoke again. We could not hear the words, but we heard the roar that followed. Then they charged. The sky darkened with their advance. Chariots screamed across the field. Warriors ran screaming, faces painted, blades raised. The sound was like the world tearing itself apart. Then the command came. P-Law. We threw as one. Shields locked. Formation held. The first ranks of the enemy fell, impaled, tangled in their own numbers. Their advantage became their weakness, too many bodies pressing forward, nowhere to move. We advanced slowly, methodically, mercilessly. When the cavalry struck their flanks, panic rippled through their mass. The wagons behind them blocked retreat. What had been a celebration became a slaughter. By sunset, the field was carpeted with the dead. Ancient counts say 80,000 Britons fell that day. We lost a few hundred. Victory did not feel like victory. Boudica did not kneel. Some say she took poison rather than be captured. Others say sickness claimed her. Rome never paraded her in chains. Perhaps even we understood what that would mean, because she had done the unthinkable. She had made Rome afraid. Rome stayed, but Rome changed. Governors ruled with restraint. Abuse was punished. Local elites were treated carefully. The empire learned painfully that Britain was not Gaul. Forts rose stronger. Roads spread farther. Stone replaced ash. But beneath it all, something had shifted. We ruled Britain. We never owned it. I served 25 years in this province. I watched children grow up speaking Latin who still dreamed in their father's tongue. I saw temples built where sacred groves once stood. I marched roads that would outlive me. And I learned this: Rome conquers land, but memory belongs to those who suffer. Long after we are gone, after the eagles fall, after the walls crumble, Britain will remember Boudica. Not because she won, but because she dared to burn an empire. Rome would rule Britain for nearly 4 centuries, but it would never forget the year the island answered fire with fire.